Grishma, please turn on your camera. Grishma, turn on your camera, please. Okay. So welcome back to political science class, session one of the day. Today only one session is there, right? Only one class. Okay. So in the last class, we discussed the 5-year plan, the first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, third 5-year plan, and the activities of the government to improve the economy of the country. Okay, so related with the 5-year plans. Okay, so today we want to complete 2 3 topics. Okay, so please write down these things there. Major outcomes of 5-year plans. First topic of the day, major outcomes of the 5-year plan. Please keep your textbook open. Okay, and cross check with the textbook. These topics are there one by one. We are discussing every day. So please read the things from the textbook also. Okay, major outcomes of the 5-year plans. So last point we wrote that it is public sector versus the private, right? Public sector versus the private sector. Now it is major outcomes of the 5-year plans. Right on. Land reforms did not take place effectively. Land reforms did not take place. Land reforms did not take place effectively in most part of the country. In most part of the country, the inability to take major steps, the inability to take major steps in the direction, in the direction in the direction of achieving equal development, of achieving equal development, of achieving equal development in the very first stage, in the very first stage, in the very first stage, was to become a political problem, was to become a political problem, was to become a political problem. Okay, so I will read that point one more time. Please check it. Land reforms did not take place effectively in most part of the country. The inability to take major steps in the direction of achieving equal development in the very first stage was to become a political problem. Equal development in the sense in the development in the field of agricultural production. Both the poor people want to develop as of the rich landlords. Okay, clear. So minimum development is necessary, agriculture development necessary. For that, in the second and third 5-year plans, government came forward with a program that is termed as land reforms. Land reforms. What do you mean by the land reforms? So already we studied in the junior classes, the Zamindari system, okay, right to area system. Like that, various land reform systems existed in the British period, and even after the first decade, after the independence, for the first decade, 2 decades, we can say that these systems existed there. Okay, and the government came forward with this program. But you know what is the program? Land reform program. What do you mean that? The landlords, they owned huge areas of land. The policy of the government is to take up this land from the landlords and redistribute this land among the poor peasantry. Okay, the farmers, poor farmers. Clear? Landless farmers. Okay, this program is termed as the land reforms programs. Okay, but number of these landlords are the part of the state government or part of the ruling party. So it is very difficult to seize land from these landlords, okay, and redistribute that land among the poor peasantry. So it's that become a political problem. It is very difficult. So the Congress party is the party that controlling the central government. Okay, most of these landlords also belong to the same party. So this government is trying to recollect this land from the landlords, will create problem in that locality, right? Yes or no? So it's a difficult task. It was a difficult task. Okay, that program in that is not a successful program by the government. That's what the point says that. Okay, so last statement. The very first stage was become a political problem. So the first stage to seize land or collect land from the landlords and redistribute that land among the landless farmers, it is a that turned into a political problem. Clear? Okay. So what the program of the government? Okay, there are numerous or a huge land area is there that is under the control of the landlords. The government program is nothing but seize land from the landlords or collect land from the landlords, okay, and redistribute that land among the landless or poor landless farmers, okay. But that turned into a political problem. The program is not a successful one, okay. Next heading: foundations. 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 So foundation means a basic plan or program to achieve development. Clear? A basic plan or program to achieve development is called to be a foundation. Okay. Clear? Before constructing structures, we will first construct foundation, right? Okay. Then only over that only we will construct the structure or superstructure, right? Let it be. Here in this period, in this period means the period of the first, second, third, five plans. Okay. In this period, the foundations of India's future economic growth, in this period, the foundations of India's, the foundations of India's, foundations of India's future economic growth, future economic growth, future economic growth were laid. So these first three 5-year plan, this period, okay, the government of India laid the future plans of India, okay, laid the programs for the future economic development of India. Full stop. Some of the largest development projects, some of the largest developmental projects, some of the largest developmental projects, some of the largest developmental projects in India, in India's history, some of the large developmental projects of India's history, India's history were undertaken, were undertaken, were undertaken during this period, during this period, during this period. These included, these included, these included mega dams like mega MEGA, mega dams like mega dams like mega dams like Bakranangal, Bakranangal, BHA, Bakra Nangal, NANGAL, Bakranangal, Bakranangal, and Hirakud, HIRKUD, Hirakud, Bakranangal and Hirakud for irrigation, for irrigation, for irrigation and power generation, and power generation, and power generation. Okay. So second 5-year plan, we know that that give importance for construction of dams and irrigation, dams and irrigation. So the rural economy also want to achieve development, right? Okay, the rural area want to develop. So the basic economical activity of the rural India, it is agricultural production. Okay, so irrigation is necessary and it is compulsory. Clear? So I already told you that Jawaharlal Nehru, the former Prime Minister of India, the first Prime Minister of India, he once commented that. Okay, what is that comment? Dams are the dams are the temples of modern India. Temples of modern India. That much importance they provided for the dams there. Okay, so dams and irrigation. So the period of the first 3-5-year plan, the mega projects like huge dams constructed. Okay, clear? For irrigation and power generation. Irrigation and power generation. Just keep that idea in your mind. Okay. Second point, the same heading, foundation. Second point, some of heavy industry, some of heavy industry in the public sector, some of the heavy industry in the public sector, steel plants, steel plants, oil refineries, oil refineries, oil, REFINERIES, oil refineries, oil refineries, manufacturing units, oil refineries, comma, manufacturing units, manufacturing units, defense production, defense production, defense production, etc., etc., were started during this period, etc., were started during this period, during this period. Full stop. Infrastructure for transport and communication, infrastructure for transport and communication, okay, infrastructure for transport and communication was improved substantially, was improved substantially. Okay, so at the same time, number of heavy industries in public sector also started. Okay, public sector means under the control of the government. Clear? So government is running these industries for welfare. Clear? Not for profit, but for the welfare. Okay, here, what are the industries started there? Steel plants started, oil refineries started. Okay, oil refineries in the sense crude oil to petroleum diesel. Clear? That's what oil refineries. Crude oil to petrol products or petroleum products. Okay, oil refineries. Manufacturing units, different types of manufacturing units. Okay, I already told you that Bell, okay, Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, Bharat, what you can say, SAIL, Steel Authority of India, like that various industries started by the government. Okay, so this industry started during this period. At the same time, infrastructure facilities for transportation, roads and rails, bridges, roads, rails, bridges. Okay, that also constructed by the government through these plans. Okay, and next topic, land reforms. Land reforms. This is all related with the 5-year plans. Okay, land reforms. Write down. During the planning period, during the planning period, the agrarian sector witnessed, during the planning period, the agrarian sector witnessed a serious attempt, witnessed a serious attempt a serious attempt at land reforms, serious attempt at land reforms, at land reforms to abolish zamindari system, to abolish zamindari system, to abolish zamindari system, comma, consolidate the land, consolidate the land, consolidate the land, full stop, consolidate the land, full stop. These were not much successful, these were not much successful, these were not much successful, these were not much successful due to some drawbacks, due to some drawbacks, due to some drawbacks. That is, i.e., people violated laws, people violated laws, LAWS, people violated laws under considerable, CONSIDERABLE, considerable Political influence, considerable political influence, and some laws remained only on papers. And some laws remain only on papers. Okay, so land reforms, we already discussed that. Okay, land reforms is very important. The government came to know that it is very important for achieving development or make the plan successful. Okay, so they started making rules and regulations for these land reforms. Rules and regulations in the sense the abolition of semindari system. Okay, consolidation of lands, land redistribution act, land sealing act, like that various acts and laws that made by the government. Okay, but in the first case we discussed that zemindari system, abolition of zemindari system, it was a failure because of political pressure. Okay, so because of the political influence, number of these landlords, they are rich and have political influence too, they started violating these laws. Okay, these laws and the political setup or the government administrative setup, it was not enough to threaten or create problem for these landlords. So they started breaking these types of rules that made by the government. No respect they provided to such a laws related with the Zamindari or Zamindari Abolition Act. Clear? Abolition of Zamindari system, it was a failure then. Clear? Next one, they try to consolidate the lands. Consolidation means land, uh, land sealing. It's related to the Land Sealing Act. Okay, so the government will give chance to zamindars to possess a perfect area of land. Okay, the quantity is mentioned, area is mentioned properly. If it is more than that, government will collect it. Government will seize that land and will redistribute that to the landless people. Clear or not? Hmm? So they fixed area of land for the landlords there. Okay, but it also considered as a failure there. Okay, that is not successful. It was not a successful act because the landlords used some other ways to protect their lands. They will register the land to the names of their relatives, their family, friends, or something like that. They managed. Clear or not? Hmm? Land Sealing Act means example, 25 acres of land a person can possess. If it is more than that, government will take. For example, I have 50 acres of land. I will register the 25 acres in my name and balance 25 acres in the name of my relative. So I protected my land, right? So it was a failure. It was a failure. Clear? So next one, most of these laws that is violated by the landlords and some laws remained as laws in the paper on the paper. Clear or not? Okay, only laws on the paper, not implemented by the government. Okay, so land reforms at the time of planning, we can say it was a failure. It was a failure, not successful plan. Okay, next one, food crisis. Food crisis. Okay, before that, I will allot 2 minutes for you people. Just read the notes what you wrote now. Any doubt, you can ask me now fast. I'll explain there. If you have any doubt, ask me again. Make it fast. Just read it. So last point, one more time. Land reforms. During the planning period, the agrarian sector witnessed a serious attempt to land reforms to abolish semindari system. The agrarian sector means agricultural sector, right? Agricultural sector. So that witnessed a serious problems there. Okay, so related with the zamindari system, consolidate the land. These were not much successful due to some drawbacks. Clear? Okay, drawbacks. That is, people violated laws under considerable political influence. Considerable political influence, and some laws remained only on papers. And some laws remained only on papers. Is that clear? Okay, fine. Fine. Next point, food crisis. Food crisis. So we know that Indian economy is considered as an agrarian economy. Still, it's an agrarian economy only. Okay, so food crisis is a problem that faced after independence. Okay, agriculture production is not that much improved in our country. Right on. The agriculture situation, the agricultural situation, the agricultural situation went from bad to worse. Went from bad to worse, WRSC, worse, in the 1960s. In the 1960s. 1960s. Already in 1940s and 1950s, already in 1940s and 1950s, the rate of growth of food grain, the rate of growth of food grain production, the rate of growth of food grain production was barely, B-A-R-E-L-Y, barely, staying above the rate of population growth, the rate of population growth, the rate of population growth. Okay, here, what the point says here? Repeating one more time, the agricultural situation went from bad to worse in 1960s. Only in 1940s and 1950s, the rate of growth of food grain production is barely staying above the rate of population growth. Clear? In the 1960s, what happened? The agricultural production became worse in our country. Okay. In the 1940s and 1950s, agriculture production is just equal to the population growth. Okay. Almost as same as. So managed. But it came to 1960, what happened? The agriculture production dwindled down, reduced down. Okay. So that created a problem in the country. So agriculture production reduces, that will lead to what? Grishma, if agricultural production reduced, the production of food grains reduced, or production of vegetables reduced, it will lead to a problem called food shortage, famine, right? Clear or not? Food shortage or food shortage or famine. That's the condition, situation. Okay, it's not that good for the country. Right on, next point. Between 1965 and 1967, between 1965 and 1967, severe droughts, severe droughts, severe droughts occurred in many parts of the country. Occurred many part of the country. Occurred in many parts of the country. Between 1965 and 1967, severe droughts occurred in many parts of the country, and it was in Bihar. To feel a famine situation. To feel a famine situation. Famine situation. Full stop. On the other hand, comma, food prices also hit a high in Bihar, due to government's policy of zoning. Due to government policy of zoning. Z-O-N-I-N-G, zoning. Government policy of zoning. Full stop. Now, what is zoning? Trade of food across states was prohibited. Trade of food across states was prohibited. Across states was prohibited. That's what zoning. Okay. Not allowing one state to sell its food grains to other states. Okay. They divided the country into different zones. So trade of food grains is possible only in a limited area. Okay. Or in that particular zone. Okay. So the other states are unable to sell these things to Bihar. Okay. Due to zoning, full stop. Trade of food across the states was prohibited, comma, which reduced the availability of food in Bihar. Okay, so Bihar faced a problem of famine due to the government policy called zoning. Okay, so what is zoning? Not allowing some states to, or one state to sell their product to the other state, basically food grains. Okay, so that made the problem in Bihar worse. Clear or not? So what happened? What is this point says that 1914, 1950, we managed somehow. Okay, what we managed? Food production. Related with the population growth, we managed the food production. But came to 1960, what happened? Food production dwindled down, reduced down. Okay, agricultural production reduced down. Okay, as a result of that, a state in India, that is Bihar, faced a problem. What is that problem? Famine. At the same time, because of one is food production reduced, and the same time the price of goods in that area increased like anything. Okay, uh, only Bihar faced that much problem because of zoning, a policy of government. Okay, what is zoning? Not allowing to sell the food grain to the other states. Clear? Understanding or not? That's what zoning. Is that point clear? Just read that. Again, doubt means you can ask me. Just read it and understand properly. Clear? Done. Okay. Next. So this land reforms, it was a failure. The same time, the government, it is unable to, or it was unable to manage the food shortage or food crisis in the country. Okay, clear or not? That time, the government of India, along with the one of the 5-year plan, they came with a new program termed as the Green Revolution. Already you studied in the junior classes. The Green Revolution. We heard about the Green Revolution, the White Revolution, the Grey Revolution, the Blue Revolution, like there are various revolutions related with the agricultural production in India. Agricultural production in India. Write down Green Revolution. Green Revolution. Green Revolution. Green Revolution. Okay. So, what do you mean by the term revolution? What do you mean by the term revolution? Political science students of class 12 asking a question to you people. What is a revolution?
A movement for a change.
Movement for a change. Anything else? Any other answers? Okay, Aishwarya. Answer is there in that sentence. A movement for a change. Answer is just the change. Okay, revolution means nothing but it is change. What is that? Change. Clear or not? Hmm? So there are various revolutions out there, right? We had about the French, the Russian, like that. Clear? So these people are doing, or they are protesting, they're agitating for what? For a change. For a change. So revolution, that is just a change. Okay. So in the world, only one thing is existing without any change, that change itself. Clear or not? So what I told, in the world, only one thing is existing without any change. That is change itself. Okay, because all things are changing. Clear? You yourself changing regularly. Clear? Yes or no? Minute by minute, you people are changing. The atmosphere it is changing. Weather it is changing. Clear or not? We are unable to keep our feet into a river for 2 times, right? Huh? Is it possible? Think about that. If you keep your foot on or in the river, okay, you only can keep for 1 time because the water will flow. Next time it is another water. Clear or not? Understanding. Okay, so everything is changing. Everything is changing, right? Okay, so that's what the comment. What is that? What is that? On the world, only one thing is remaining without any change. That is the change itself. Okay, so the name, the meaning of the term revolution, it is change. So green revolution means green change. Okay, change in the field of agricultural production. Green, that depicting the agricultural production. Okay, crops. Right on. The government adopted a new strategy. The government adopted a new strategy for agriculture in order to ensure food sufficiency. The government adopted a new policy or strategy. Okay, new strategy for agriculture in order to ensure food sufficiency. in order to ensure food sufficiency. In order to ensure food sufficiency, full stop. Instead of the earlier policy, instead of the earlier policy, earlier policy, earlier policy of giving more support, of giving more support to the areas of farmers, to the areas, sorry, 1 minute, more support to the areas and farmers, areas and farmers that were lagging behind, that were lagging behind. So we already discussed that. The zamindari abolition of zamindari system. Okay, land consolidation. That things or that rules and regulations that become failure plans and programs. So instead of that, so here you wrote the areas and farmers that were lagging behind. Full stop. Now it was decided to put. Now it was decided to put. Now it was decided to put. Now it was decided to put more resources into okay, inconvenience regretted. It's a power failure. So we will continue the next session. Okay. So read the notes that what you wrote today. Okay, learn well. So remember, read the textbook. That is very important and it's compulsory also. Okay. So we will meet in the next session. Okay. So almost time up. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Amal and Elvina. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone. Bye.